We navigate life with a deeply ingrained assumption about reality. We imagine the universe as a massive, empty stage, a giant physical box that contains all the stars, planets, and people inside it. To map this stage, we use the Cartesian coordinate system, x, y, and z axes, pinpointing locations within a volume. But if space is an empty container, what holds the container? Something else must hold it, creating an infinite regression of containers. When we treat space as a thing that contains other things, we lose the ability to define where reality actually begins. The regression shows us that a physical container cannot be the starting point. To escape the loop of endless boxes, we must look at the only thing that actually changes, a new distinction. Dimensions are not physical places, but acts of contrast. Space is not a pre-existing room. It is the measurable gap created the moment 2 points are registered as different. Space is the operational capacity for that distinction to occur. Without separation, there is only an undifferentiated smoothness. But the moment a difference is noticed, space appears as the interval holding that relationship. This gap pushes outward, organizing a spatial grid. The grid is generated by the relationship itself. We do not live inside a physical grid. We live inside a self-generating architecture of comparison. This brings us to the foundational primitive of the universe, registration. Registration is the basic act of noticing a contrast. The universe is not a collection of dead matter. It is a self-registering plenum, a continuous, open field that inherently registers its own internal differences. This diagram shows a continuous gradient between hot and cold. Notice that neither pole exists independently. You cannot have hot without the context of cold. They require each other to form a single, unified dimension of registered contrast. To exist at all in this universe simply means to be a registered difference within this continuous, aware field. We can map exactly how this registration process builds reality. We call this architecture the dimensional kernel, a specific 3-layered structure of how awareness generates form. Layer 1 is the linkage dimension, the direct channel connecting 2 contrasting points. Layer 2 is the structural dimension, forming as linkages cross into complex, overlapping geometric patterns. Layer 3 is the registrational dimension, a localized center integrating these connections into a single perspective. Every structure in reality, from a subatomic particle to a human mind, is this exact same kernel architecture, folding and repeating across different scales. If the universe is an open capacity to register differences, how can science or philosophy possibly map it accurately? Any single attempt to map this infinite openness threatens to freeze it into a rigid model. We risk building the exact same box we just escaped in the first place. This blueprint shows multiple overlapping, contradictory architectural sketches of a single sphere. True modeling requires a plurality of perspectives because the kernel itself is pure openness that hosts all possible models. Structure does not kill openness. Structure does not trap reality. Physical structure is simply capacity in motion. You are not a physical object trapped inside a spatial container. You are a living dimension, a localized perspective of the universe's infinite capacity in motion.